Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. So, unlike most episodes, we're actually just going to jump right on into the main topic today, and that being kind of I don't know how I want to say it, but kind of just a conversation about graded cards and how we perceive them as far as how much value we place on them and how much importance we place on them and things like that. And I'll kind of give some context of how this came up. I was looking on Facebook earlier today and saw somebody post a picture of a card that was in and of itself a nice card, but was clearly a fake patch within the card. Just, I mean, if you know anything about jerseys and patches and things of that sort, you would immediately be able to see there's no way that's a real legitimate patch that's in the card. Now, part of the problem with that is this card was graded by PSA. And something that a lot of people might not realize is that just because a card is graded or authenticated does not mean that the memorabilia is real. All that the company is doing is authenticating the card itself. So I know the person who owns this card that I'm talking about, we were kind of having a little bit of a dialogue in the comments back and forth, and he was saying, well, but like the card was verified by PSA. Well, yes, you're right. The card was authenticated by PSA, not the memorabilia. And again, it was just painfully obvious that the memorabilia piece was not authentic. So that's kind of what prompted this topic for the episode, just thinking about, how so many people put such significance into a card being graded, what the grade is, all of that, what the grading company is, all of that. So just thought it would kind of be good to kind of debrief the topic a little bit. And one kind of phrase that you'll hear collectors mention, and obviously it's the title of the episode, but buy the card, not the grade. So, I think for me and Aaron, obviously feel free to jump in with your thoughts, but to me, that very much reigns true for a number of reasons. I mean, at the end of the day, we are card collectors, not plastic collectors or, grading slip collectors, whatever you want to say. So I guess when I say the phrase buy the card, not the grade, what comes to mind for you?
For me, like as a collector, I'm just sort of looking for the card. It sounds sort of silly, but I think in this sort of hyper inflated, or at least when talking about a couple of years ago, that hyper inflated market when it comes to graded cards didn't really apply. It was just sort of like, what number could I get on this? Like, I'm going to grade a base card, just because I can. And, at the time for certain players, it in a weird way, just because that's the way the market was sort of trending, it made sense because people were buying that sort of stuff at a premium just for the grade. But, as far as me, like as a collector, I'm just trying to find the cards on my list. If it comes up in an eBay search or something and it just happens to be graded, I'm not going to pay a premium on it just because it's graded. I'm just going to buy the card, that's sort of my mindset. Now, obviously, this changes a bit if, in your collection, like maybe you have a subcategory of graded cards, and obviously you're trying to check off, you know, cards off the list in a certain way, and that's fine. But I think just in general terms, just speaking as a collector, like I'm looking for the card, at the end of the day. And, I think this is a good lesson to kind of know because if you're, ripping open a box of cards and you hit a really nice card, I see it all the time. People ask, oh, should I grade this? Even one of ones. And it's like, you shouldn't really waste your time with that. Just because, in general, well, in that case, trying to sell or trade the card, not really the grade. And I think that's where the card's attributes, being a one of one or a nice patch or something like that, should really be the only factor. And I think anything else at that point, you're kind of just sinking money like into a process that just won't really make too much sense at the end of the day. So I think that's kind of the way I look at it. Not a seller myself, but if I were, a newer collector opening boxes of cards, I would just look at the card as far as like a selling perspective or a trading perspective, instead of, looking at grade right away. Because I just think in 99% of cases, it just wouldn't really help you out. And I think as a collector or, just new to collecting, you probably see graded, thrown around all the time. And I think just being someone who's new and might not know, and it's totally fine, not to know these things, especially with like I mentioned off the top, the industry being a little crazy the last couple of years. You hear grading and you think it's the only thing that really matters. And, I think, in order to find joy in your collection, I think you should really worry about, it sounds silly, but the card itself, to start building your collection versus what numbers do I have in my collection? I don't really think that would serve you any good. Maybe it will in the short term, because other people will sort of pat you on the back and be like, oh, those are nice grades and, nice numbers. But I think if you want to have longevity in this hobby, it's easy to get sort of swept away on the train, the grading train, as far as grading cards or picking up cards for your collections. But I think at the end of the day, you need to focus on just the card itself. Like, what do I want to collect? And then if there's the odd graded card here, there, cool. If you want to be selective, that's fine. But I think, at the end of the day, if selling cards or collecting cards, which is the angle we obviously take here on this podcast, is just, more collecting than anything else. You just really need to focus on the card itself and what you collect and what kind of attributes you want to have in your collection. And that to me starts and ends with the card. I think grading is just a bonus point for the most part. So that's kind of my thoughts. It's an interesting topic because you ask the community and you get a bunch of different answers, and that's fine. But I think just speaking from a collector slash longevity point of view, I think to really have fun in this hobby, you need to really focus on the cards you want to collect. It seems super obvious and kind of like, well, of course, type statement, but I think just basing it on the last couple of years, I think we think it's an important topic just to mention here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would echo a lot of those sentiments. And we're also not going to go into like what cards warrant grading or don't warrant grading. I know we've already done an episode about that I think was called like to grade or not to grade,
Right.
fairly early on in the days of the podcast. Probably, I mean, that was probably back in 2020, honestly, or maybe early 2021.
Maybe
But
2021. Either way, you should probably go back and listen to that
yeah,
episode.
it was a good
Um,
episode.
it was a good episode, especially if you're new to the hobby and grading and all that craziness. It's definitely a valuable episode, I think, in our opinion.
Yeah, so we won't go into that element of the conversation, but really just kind of focusing on the buying the card or buying the grade. And also to reiterate, that's not we're not saying that we don't think that grading is ever a good thing or I mean, we have graded cards in our collection. We submit cards for grading every now and then. So it's not like we're anti-grading. It's just a lot of the time it seems like people aren't able to differentiate, from one thing to the other, or even really understand the why behind the decisions that they may or may not be making, which is definitely concerning. I think about, the value differences that we see between, say a PSA 10 and a PSA 9, when truthfully, there's oftentimes not much indication why a card graded a 9 versus a 10. Sometimes it might be a little more apparent, but a lot of the time there isn't. I mean, you see all the time people say, oh, this card got a 9, but I really think it should have gotten a 10. And, with the quote unquote traditional grading companies, so think of PSA, Beckett, SGC, KSA, companies like that, where it's, pretty much a human grader and they have a big staff of graders, and then, one person is going to view a card differently than the next, and you're going to view a card differently from one day to the next and all of that, meaning that there is not much of an element of objectivity, consistency, and even transparency with some of those traditional companies. Now, of course, places like Beckett and MNT, for example, do their subgrades, which is helpful. So you kind of have a general idea of where a card may or may not have fallen short. But again, you don't necessarily know specifically how every little defect might have factored into an overall grade, which little side shout out, that's why we both really, really like tag because that is what they do. It's objective, consistent, transparent. You never have questions for why something grades the way it does. So just a little side shout out to them. If you guys are not familiar with tag, check them out. Do yourself a favor. They're great. Yeah, we're huge fans of tag and stay tuned. We'll be talking more about them very shortly in one of the next few episodes here. But anyway, kind of just getting back to, if there is not much objectivity behind a grade and, the difference between a 9 and a 10, but then you'll see the 10 selling for two, three, four times what a 9 would be when it's potentially in exactly the same condition as each other. I mean, obviously, no two cards are ever going to be exactly the same. I'm not saying that, but if it's generally the same condition, and like I said, whether it's a different grader or a different day or whatever, one's going to grade a 9, one's going to grade a 10, and there's just such a huge value discrepancy between those two, it kind of just makes you step back and say, why are people doing this? Like, yeah, of course, obviously, the optics of a 10 are nicer. Like, of course, everyone wants to have as high of a grade as possible. But again, you have to kind of take that step back and say, well, I'm buying the card, I'm a card collector, and ultimately the card is what it is. A company could say, oh, this is a 7, even if it's perfect. Well, just because they say that doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is. Same on the flip side, you'll see a lot of lesser grading companies will kind of overgrade things and say, oh, yeah, this is a 10, when you can visibly see defects on the card. And obviously, it's not in perfect condition. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about in that regard. Like, why do we have such huge differences in value, even just in one grade, or even in Beckett's case, like half a grade? It's just pretty interesting. And I know you touched on the one of one thing. Obviously, if you're buying or trading for or collecting, whatever you want to say, a one of one, you're getting that card because it's that card. It's not because it's in a certain condition or whatever. So I always kind of get a kick out of when people grade one of ones, and I say that partially hypocritically because I do have graded one of ones in my collection, one of which I submitted for grading myself, though that was very much more just for a protection element. So that's kind of one thing. I mean, really, when it comes down to grading, you're wanting to protect the card as well as you can. Though I would also argue that just having something in a penny sleeve and top loader or a one touch or whatever it might be is oftentimes going to be adequate protection. It's kind of more what you're doing with the card and how you're storing it as opposed to what type of holder it's in. So that's kind of just something to keep in mind. But then obviously, when talking about the grade itself, that numerical element of it, you are establishing what the condition is and how those kind of relate to other copies of the card. So if it's a one of one, well, you can't compare that copy to another copy of the card because there is not another copy of the card, right? So that's always just kind of a something I get a little bit of a kick out of when it comes to seeing one of ones that have been graded. So yeah, don't necessarily want to harp on it too much, but yeah, just like I said, seeing that memorabilia card that clearly had a fake patch and then the person thinking that it was real just because it was in slab, it's unfortunately not really that simple. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on with the subject, Aaron, or if not,
I
we
think I'm
can.
okay, but yeah, it was
Okay.
very comprehensive statements there. I like it.
And I guess one other thing too, I know I just said I was done, but one other thing, I think both of us are very much kind of geared toward modern cards because that's just typically what we collect. But this is a very important discussion when it comes to vintage cards because a lot of the time there are so many different like idiosyncrasies of a vintage card that while those all factor into the grade, the eye appeal of the card can be drastically different even within the same grade of a card. I mean, even like a lot of people would say that Gretzky rookie cards aren't really vintage, but even if you just look at like a Gretzky rookie, one PSA 4 might be drastically different to another PSA 4 in terms of the eye appeal, whether that's the centering, whether that's the registration, whether that's, maybe there's one pretty noticeable ding on the corner that really hurts the condition of the card, but the rest of the card is really nice. Or you might have a card that kind of across the board is more of like a 4. And those things all kind of factor in, and you will see big differences in sale prices on cards even within the same grade. Maybe not so much for a Gretzky, but if you really go back into vintage, I know for me, like a card that comes to mind would be a Vezina rookie card. You might have a PSA 2 and you might have another PSA 2, and the eye appeal of one is probably going to be better than the other. And that can oftentimes make a pretty significant difference in terms of the value of the card. So yeah, did just want to kind of touch on that because I know obviously there are lots of people who specialize in vintage and collect vintage and appreciate vintage and stuff like that. And not that we don't, but we are just generally more geared toward modern cards. But obviously that's a very important aspect of the grading industry as well. So, but yeah, I think that'll pretty much wrap up that topic. Switching over to some new products, Paul at Upper Deck was very kind, as he often is, and sent us a little package here the other day consisting of 22-23 Ultimate Collection, 23-24 Trilogy, 23-24 SV Game Used, and 23-24 Black Diamond. So we will go ahead and jump in on those and see how we do. Again, like I said, big shout out to Paul for sending us these so we can share a little bit about these products with you guys and just kind of see our reactions and thoughts about the products as we go through them. And yeah, we will start with 22-23 Ultimate Collection. I've always really liked Ultimate Collection. I think it's just kind of always been one of those just like, I mean, obviously it's a nicer product every
Like kind of
year.
like a sleeper product, like a little bit. Like
It's interesting now. I feel like it used to be bigger back in the
now it's kind of a
day.
sleeper one. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And, I know kind of when YouTube breaks were really first becoming a thing, I know Ultimate was always a product that everyone really enjoyed watching on release day and in the days following, just because it's a very easy product to watch people open, just because I guess back in the day, it was more, I think it was what, 4 or 5 packs per box, depending on the year. But yeah, now it's just one pack. So it's very easy to watch. But I've always really, really liked just the base rookie autos. I think those are very, very underappreciated and undervalued cards in the hobby. Especially when you compare them to something like a Future Watch auto from SP Authentic, which I know we've talked about on the show before, but yeah, I mean, Ultimate is a higher end product and the cards are a lot more scarce than the Future Watch autos. So it seems like they should be worth a lot more than the Future Watch autos, but alas, they are not. So anyway, let's jump on in here to 22-23 Ultimate. Obviously, Ultimate is one of the main products that you can pull shields from. So I guess we can hope, but probably not expect one. And as I break into it here, we do not have any thick cards, just kind of four thinner ones. So no patch cards, unfortunately, but maybe we'll get a nice auto instead. Let's see here. First up, we have, I believe, a gold parallel numbered out 35 of James Van Riemsdyk. And I will go from the back next. We have a Ultimate Rookie jersey out of 799 of Ole Lixell. So very Flyers heavy box so far. Again, I will go to the back. We have an Ultimate Signatures of Andrew Kopp for the Detroit Red Wings. And the second card of the pack that's a nice one for sure, decent autograph. We have an Ultimate Introductions auto for the formerly Arizona Coyotes, Dylan Genther.
Not bad.
Nice rookie auto there for sure. Good name. So yeah, very nice looking cards this year. I like the design of the base, and the Ultimate Introduction cards are always really nicely done with that top layer of acetate on there. So yeah, definitely a fun break there, and definitely happy with that Genther auto. Can't go wrong. So next we will turn our attention to the 23-24 stuff and do some Bedard hunting. We shall see if we can get something of the man. So we will start out with 23-24 Trilogy, which of all of these products that we're opening here today is the only one that has multiple packs within the box. So 23-24 Trilogy has 6 packs per box with 4 cards per pack. You can expect 2 hits per box. Of course, some of the most exciting cards of the product are the acetate cards, especially the autograph acetate cards. Have always been very popular with this product over the years. So we shall see. I know this was one of the first products where you could pull Bedard Blackhawks autograph cards in. So again, not getting our hopes too high, but even if we could just get a basic Bedard rookie card, that would be pretty cool. So first pack, we've got a base of Kirby Doc. We've got our first hit, an orange jersey numbered out of 499 for Stanley Cup finalist of the Edmonton Oilers, Vinny Desharnais. It's a nice rookie jersey, and the orange obviously goes nicely with the Oilers. And next up, we have a rookie renditions of Ole Eriksson Ek for the Anaheim Ducks, numbered out of 799. Nice red foil card there. So that is pack number 1. Moving on to pack number 2. This one feels thicker, so we'll see if it has an acetate card. And it does. So first up, we have a Generations card. This is a pink parallel numbered out of 25, which is pretty nice. For the Boston Bruins, Jeremy Swayman.
Nice.
Nice card there. And we will go to our acetate card. Only 2 cards in this pack because of the acetate. We have, that's a nice one. It is a Rookie Premier's acetate gold, numbered out of 49 of Ridley Gregg.
Nice, Mr. Slapshot.
Toronto Maple Leafs fan favorite, Ridley Gregg. So that is a pretty cool card there for sure. Really like the thick acetate cards that Trilogy is known for, like I said. We're on to pack number 3. Got a base of Evgeny Malkin. We have a rookie renditions of Bobby McMahon for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have a rookie renditions red, numbered out of 799 for the Calgary Flames, Matt Coronado, and a base of Tim Stützle. So that is halfway through our box of Trilogy. On to pack number 4. Still looking for 1 hit. Hopefully we can get an autograph. Got a base of Patrick Laine. We have a Generations base of Mario Lemieux. A good name there. We have a Trilogy rookie premiere for the Detroit Red Wings of Marco Casper, numbered out of 999, and a base of Jonathan Huberdeau. 2 packs left on to pack number 5. Again, should still be looking for 1 more hit, whether that be a memorabilia or autograph. We have a base of Matt Boldy. There's our hit. It is a Rookie Premier's Level 1 autograph, numbered out of 349 for the Buffalo Sabres, Lucas Rusek. So not exactly the name you're looking for there, but that's okay. Next up, that's a nice one. We have a Rookie Premier's Level 1 red parallel, numbered out of 199 for the New Jersey Devils, Luke Hughes.
That's not a bad hit right there.
Yeah, definitely one of the best rookies you can get for sure, so that's good. And a base of the newly retired Joe Pavelski. And onto our 6th and final pack. We'll see if we can muster anything extra. I have a base of Rasmus Dahlin, a rookie renditions of Matthew Knies for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have a Generations Blue parallel number out of 349 of Tage Thompson, and a base of Roman Josi. So decent little box Trilogy there. Obviously, I really like the Gregg acetate parallel is really cool. The Luke Hughes is really nice as well. So a couple pretty nice cards there out of Trilogy. Moving on to 23-24 SP Game Used. Obviously, SP Game Used is always full of unique and fun memorabilia cards. That's kind of what it's known for at this point. Lots of All-Star game stuff, lots of outdoor game stuff, net cords, puck cards. Of course, there are the I guess you could say controversial mascot memorabilia cards. Some people love them, some people do not. I know that's something we've talked about with Billy on the show before, but those definitely do sell well, which may or may not surprise some people. But yeah, those are still cool cards nonetheless. One card that I would love to pull out of here, believe it or not, I know a lot of people are not huge on the banner year cards, but I would love to pull a Bedard banner year card since those use banners from the NHL draft last summer, which I was at. So it would be really cool for me if I was able to pull one of those cards. So we'll see if I'm fortunate enough here. It looks like we do have one thick card in the middle, so I will come back to that at the end. Starting off, we have a base red parallel numbered out 227 of Timo Meyer. Next up, we have an authentic rookies gold parallel for the Nashville Predators of Igor Afanasayev, numbered out of 119. Again, skipping that thick card. We have a red jersey parallel of Mats Zuccarello. We have, I almost forgot about this set, so I'm glad we got one. I know this is an insert set that Aaron and I both absolutely love this year. We have a deep cuts numbered out of 250 for the Vancouver Canucks of Aiden McDonough.
Such a great set.
Yes, these are very, very cool cards. They have a die cut kind of going through the middle of the card that goes to the middle layer of the card. And then on the right side, a die cut that goes all the way through the card. So just a really cool and innovative idea. These really remind me a lot of the chemical composition cards that Billy did in the Cup a couple years ago, that some people liked, some people didn't. The idea was really, really cool. Unfortunately, the execution just was not quite what Billy had envisioned. But this kind of reminds me of that, of cutting down into the middle of the card and being able to see that middle layer of the card is just a really cool and unique idea. And I think the execution on these cards in particular was really nice. So cool to get one of those. We do have a banner year. Unfortunately, it's not Connor Bedard, but it is a really nice piece. It is from the 2022 NHL Global Series for the Columbus Blue Jackets of Boone Jenner with a really nice Blue Jackets logo piece on there. So that's honestly a definitely one of the nicer banner year cards I feel like I've seen. That's a very nice looking one there. And then going back to that thick card, we do have a signing day marks. So not a draft day marks, but essentially it's the same idea, just an undrafted player as opposed to a drafted player. So a signing day marks numbered out of 35 for the Vancouver Canucks, Andrei Kuzmenko.
Nice.
So that's definitely a solid hit there for sure.
Those cards are always big favorites.
Yes, people love putting together the full nameplates of players. So, and obviously Kuzmenko is a fairly decent name there. So, yeah, cannot go wrong there. That's a nice pull for sure. So, yeah, that's SP game used. Again, happy that we got a deep cuts. I really, really like those cards. I was actually able to hunt down the Jacob Slavin autograph card that is numbered 74 out of 75. So it's the jersey number copy and yeah, just a beautiful card and really, really job well done on Billy for those cards. Yeah, just a great idea, great execution, and again, like we said, getting a essentially what's a draft day marks type of card is obviously something that you can always be pretty happy about. Other cards that are in there that people really enjoy are the frameworks cards. I know we've pulled one of those in the past, and those are always really cool cards to see. So yeah, fun little break of SP game used there. We will turn our attention now to the final product of the night, that being 2324 Black Diamond, which, of course, I think Black Diamond is pretty well known at this point for having just very innovative technology-based cards that are incredibly, incredibly nice looking cards. I think that's really the highlight of Black Diamond nowadays is just the incredible designs and the combination of foil and acetate with a lot of the cards. You just make for some incredibly nice cards. And this is a very thick pack, so we'll see if we've got something good. I know Dave and Adams did just pull the Connor Bedard Exquisite Collection Shield, so that is unfortunately no longer on the table. But even if we could just get a cool Bedard insert or something, that would be really fun. So yeah, we do have quite a few thick cards in here. Looks like we have 7 cards in total, and 4 of the 7 are thick cards. So we shall see how we do here. All right, so starting off on front, we have a red parallel numbered out 75 for the Detroit Red Wings of Steve Yzerman. Nice card there. Moving on to the second card, which oftentimes is kind of deemed as one of the main hits of the box. We have a gold rookie auto numbered out of 99 for the Montreal Canadiens, Owen Beck. That's a decent name
Nice.
there. Then I'll start going from the back. I already saw the back card. We have an exquisite rookie, and this is one of the retro kind of tribute design cards, numbered out 299 of our buddy Ridley Gregg. Those are,
Kind of like a slap shot hot box here.
yeah, so those are really cool cards. Next up, again, going from the back, we have another exquisite collection card. I believe this is just a basic rookie card. So obviously a very good name to get here, numbered out of 399 for the Anaheim Ducks and formerly of Orbro of Sweden, Leo Carlsson.
Nice. Over represent.
So that's very, very nice there. Again, going from the back, we have a Diamond Legends number 299 of Mike Modano. It's a good name there. Again, going from the back, that's a nice card. We have a rookie patch numbered out of 50 for the San Jose Sharks of Tristan Robbins. A nice three-color patch
That's a nice
there.
patch.
Yeah, very nice. And onto our final card. We have one of the team logo jumbos for the Nashville Predators of Pekka Rinne.
That's a really nice card. Like I know it's a manufactured patch, but still cool. So that's one example where manufactured patches actually work well. Really cool.
Yeah, I know those team logo jumbos are always very, very heavily collected, obviously primarily by team collectors trying to put together the whole logo of their team. So yeah, definitely some nice cards in there. I mean, I feel like the Leo Carlsson's probably my favorite just because it's a very nice looking exquisite collection card and obviously a great name to get there. So but yeah, some other nice ones. I know the exquisite tributes are always very popular and Owen Beck autograph is nice and yeah, again, like I said, lots of really nice looking cards in this product. Unfortunately, we didn't see a whole lot of variety or any acetate or anything, but even just the basic design that's used for the Iserman, the Beck, and the Tristan Robbins, very, very nice looking design with a rainbow foil board, and then the colored foil on top is a very clean and sharp look for sure. Very elegant. Yeah, so that is 23-24 Black Diamond. Unfortunately, no Bedard tonight, but I'm sure he will show up in one of our breaks soon here. So yeah, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for the episode. We'll keep it at that, just kind of the two main parts of the episode today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, enjoyed hearing a little bit of grading talk because really we don't talk about grading a whole lot just because it's really not something that either of us focus on too much, but obviously still a very important aspect of the hobby for sure. And then, of course, it's always fun doing some breaks and talking about new products. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know we did. So yeah, as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Center Ice Cardcast, and on Twitter at Center ICC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Center Ice Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.